Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at a new Pokemon. I think it's called Arboliva. Yeah, Arboliva here, which is going to be a normal plus grass type Pokemon, which is going to be very interesting, especially as the moveset is also kind of wild. We're going to have here now Magical Leaf, which is actually a fairly decent fast move. It's not the best one. It's the 3-turn move, which is usually a little bit bad. But we're going to have Earth Power as coverage, which is really nice for the current meta, as they're going to be, of course, Steel type Pokemon, especially the Alolan Sandslash. We're also going to be able to resist the fast move, but yeah, we're going to be able to now have a team here that is going to be basically perfect around this Pokemon. I would say this is basically the best team that you can build around the Arboliva, because you're going to have coverage basically against all the weaknesses in the lead with the Deoxys. Like flying type Pokemon don't really appreciate Thunderbolt, the fighting type Pokemon don't really appreciate the Psycho Boost, and you're going to have the Lickitung, which is going to have a similar coverage with the Power Whip, which is also of course a grass type move. So, for example, you encounter some kind of water type Pokemon in the lead, you can still just chase up your Lickitung while still having the best answer for those water type Pokemon in the back, which is kinda nice. And honestly, this team worked out fairly decent for me, as here we're gonna take a look at the first game. Some of them were just hard counter, and for example here you cannot really do anything about it, but there were a lot of really good games that I had with this team, which you're going to see as well. As we can move into the next game here, which is going to have a great lead for us with the Alolan Sandslash, you're gonna see the Azumarill coming in, and I kinda misplayed this one. I wanted to see how much damage an Ice Beam going to do here, and it does a little bit too much for me, because as we can see here, the opponent will be able to farm me down in the 2-shield scenario, and they can go for that if they want to realign, and they do exactly that. So I'm going to use a shield here again to get rid of the final shield of the opponent. I'm also going to overfarm by as much as possible, just so if they want to let this move go through, we don't give the opponent too much farm down for the Sandslash. But like this, we're going to be forced to go into our Lickitung. If you just shield up the first move, you're going to be able to win this matchup all the time, so maybe I should have done that the next time. But I just wanted to see, honestly, for science, how much an Ice Beam going to do. Because, yeah, I don't really care too much if I win or lose with this team. I just want to have a lot of fun with this team, and this actually worked out super well. I have zero idea why the opponent went into their Pelipper here. Like, it does not really make too much sense in my opinion. I think it doesn't matter, like, no matter what he did, like, he would have lost. But still, I don't really understand what they tried to do here, because we can just get our body stems off, and against the Alolan Sandslash, everything would be resisted. But like this, we're going to be able to still win this game here. Don't really know what the opponent tried to do there, but we can move on to the next one. Here we're going to encounter a lead that's, for example, really good for my backline, because both of my Pokemon in the back are going to have coverage for it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go for a Psycho Boost. This is going to get the opponent into range for just one charge move of like the Lickitung. One Power Whip is all it takes, and also we're just going to do some decent damage as you're going to get out the Tropius. At this point, I was super happy about it, because this is the hardest answer basically possible for our Arboliva in the back. So we're going to be able to still go for some body slams. We have some energy advantage, which is also kind of nice here. So what we can do is just try to get them low enough that we can maybe even counter them down, or even just knock them down just with our Lickitung, which would be also fairly cool. Leaf Blade comes through, gonna do some decent amount of damage, but we can still go for a Body Slam. Is this enough to knock out the opponent? Let's take a look at this. It is not, but we can still lick them down and knock them out with this one, as we're going to encounter here the opponent's Stunfisk gonna go for a charge move. Discharge going to knock us out, but we can swap into our Arboliva, and we can try to get the full farm down here, and we just have to hope there's something in the back that we can beat. And it's literally the worst possible Pokemon. So that's great. We're going to encounter the Talonflame. We have to let the first move go through, because they would have outsped us anyway the entire time, so we cannot just spam those Thunderbolts and hope that there's something that's going to happen for us. And they do way more damage than I expected that they would do. So my only play is to go for a what's called a Psycho Boost here, and try to go for another one afterwards, and hope that I somehow survive this next charge move, like fast move, which I don't, and we're going to forfeit this game, as there was not a lot that I can really do here. Next opponent, horrible lead for us, but our backline is completely hard-walling the opponent's Jellicent, and we're gonna get out the Talonflame. And this game was actually really fun, as you're going to see here. The opponent gonna go either for the Brave Bird or the Flame Charge. We're going to let this move go through no matter what, and I didn't want to throw before, because if they go for the Brave Bird, what they did here, this Body Slam would knock them out, which it wouldn't have done beforehand. So I'm forced to use a shield here, as I would have lost CMP anyway, so I just went for my fast moves, but I can still go for our Body Slam. Next one will not come through in time, but this is going to give me a shield advantage, which is really nice, and I'm going to take this shield advantage, because I know my Lead is going to be weak against their lead there of Jellicent, so I'm going to be able to just knock them out here and hope that one shield Arboliva is going to be enough to knock out the opponent's last Pokemon. And it's going to be the Swampert in the back, which is basically the perfect matchup, exactly what you want to face, as we can shield up the Hydrocan, as potentially they would have had Sludge Wave, which would have knocked us out, but definitely the Jellicent is not going to have anything that really bothers us. It's very unlikely to encounter a Jellicent with Ice Beam, and I think at this point the opponent gave up already, as Arboliva is going to be able to just completely destroy the opponents with its olives there hanging around. We will go ahead and move on to the next game here now. Let's take a look what they're going to run. They're going to run Sandslash in the lead. Amazing for us. Is exactly where we want to face it, as we will see the opponent swapping into their Deoxys. I'm going to go for a Thunderbolt because I have a fast move advantage. This allows me to just get to the move a little bit faster than them, and I can now swap out into my Lickitung, which is now should be able at least to go just for one Body Slam and knock them out with a Lick damage, which is really cool as well, as we can take those Thunderbolts a little bit easier on this Pokemon anyway. So we're gonna go for a Body Slam. This is gonna connect against the opponent as well, and we can let this move go through as well, as we can still survive that one. And we can still align our Pokemon later on, which is amazing for me, as they're going to decide to go into the Sandslash, but they're running the Shadow Claw, and Shadow Claw is doing 1 damage. So here we are just really in a decent spot, because we can just go for the Body Slam spam and put them even at half health already, as they decide to go for a Nice Punch. I expect that they would have something like the Medicham in the back, but they're actually running the Water Gun variant of Lanturn, which is so much better for me, as we can just go ahead and go for a Seed Bomb here, and now we're gonna try to farm them down afterwards, because we are running the Earth Power. We're going to be able to hit the Earth Power against the Alolan Sandslash later on, which would be amazing for me, as we will see the Surf coming through. We're gonna now be able to farm them all the way down, and the Earth Power is going to connect, and no matter what, I can still even reach another one afterwards. So we're gonna be able to just nuke them away, and this was a good game there. Also, I think against a viewer there, they messaged me afterwards on Twitter, so shoutouts to you. Next one, we're going to have an Azumarill on the lead. Again, our backline is fairly decent against it. I'm not gonna go for the Thunderbolt just because I don't really want to risk getting hit by a Play Rough here, so I decided to just go for a Psycho Boost, which also puts them into range for a Power Whip. But sadly, we kinda get hardwalled here by the opponent's Umbreon. Umbreon is going to be a very awkward one to deal with for us here, as we are basically doing next to no damage with our fast move. Body Slam is still going to do a lot of damage against the opponent, but still, this is usually a very favorable matchup for the Umbreon here, which is kind of awkward for us. But maybe with the energy advantage we had before, we might be able to still do something here, as we will see the Body Slam connecting. It's just a very sluggish matchup here, so yeah, nothing really I have to say about it. We're just going to see like them going back and forth, hitting it with like those low energy moves with Foul Play as well as the Body Slam. I thought of going for the Power Whip here, but I decided not to use a shield because I should be able to outspeed the opponent to 2 more Body Slams, which is really nice for me, so I'm going to be able to get the shield back anyway. And they decide to try to farm me all the way down, which does not work out for them, so I can even go for another one and get another shield. So, what do I do next? I'm gonna try to go into my lead of the Deoxys, try to keep this, basically, let this move go through, and swap out now into my Arboliva, just trying to basically, yeah, keep my Deoxys still a little bit healthy, still keeping my Arboliva around, and sadly we get completely hardwalled. So yeah, there was literally nothing I could have done there in this game. This was a hardwall. Yeah, usually you're going to try to get out the Medicham with your Lickitung, but of course, nowadays especially, a lot of people don't really fall for that bait anymore. But we're going to encounter another Medicham here against us. We will be able to just go for a Thunderbolt. This is going to do some decent damage here, and we will just let all the moves go through. My goal is just to go for another charge move, and hopefully they're going to decide to shield this one because it's an obvious Psycho Boost. And they would be able to realign if they're going to shield this one, but I kind of would rather have the shield advantage than switch advantage. But sadly, the opponent lets this move go through, so we're going to be able to get switch advantage here with a charge move stored. But still, our Deoxys is our best answer for the Sandslash, so it's going to be a little bit awkward, especially as I'm running a Charizard in the back. I'm going to be able to still get to the Body Slam in time, which is kind of nice, so like just before they get to a Blast Burn. And they're going to use a shield, and also they're going to drop further and further down here with their health from the Charizard, which is really nice for us, but they actually don't bait, which I expected them actually to bait there, so like this was definitely a misplay by me then. I can still go for the Body Slam, but where is my Arboliva gonna go? We're going to have a Ice plus Steel type against a Grass type, and we're going to have a Flying plus Fire type Pokemon against a Grass type here, which is really, really awkward. So I decided to just sacrifice it here, as we're still going to be able to survive one Ice Punch. They're going to be forced to go for another one, and I'm just going to keep my shields here, and I just decide to go for the full farm down here and hope that I can still go for 2 Psycho Boosts, and it looks really nice for me right now. Even with the debuff here of Psycho Boost onto our attack, this next one still should be enough to knock out the opponent's Charizard, and as we're going to see here, it is, and we can move on into the next game. Next game coming up, we're going to encounter the Gligar in the lead. Gligar is one of the most awkward ones of them all for me to deal with, and there should definitely be still another game against Gligar lead coming up. Again, every game that I played with this team is in here. I didn't cut out anything at all, so there guarantee be definitely another Gligar game coming up eventually, but we're going to be able to hit another charge move, and of course, if we get hard-walled here already, like we're going to have completely getting hard-walled here for the next one. With the Scrafty, with the Power Punch coming through, we will be able to still reach a Body Slam against them, but as you're going to see here, this is not going to be a great matchup at all, and they can just go for the full farm down. Honestly, Scrafty is a cool Pokemon. I played a team recently with Scrafty as well. Might make a video about it soon, but like I don't know when it's actually coming out, so can't really say when. But I might even make another video about Scrafty, because I kind of feel like this Pokemon is really underrated in the current meta. There are a lot of Pokemon that are really weak against actual Fighting type Pokemon, which you maybe saw in my Machamp video as well. But yeah, here again we get completely walled. Yes, Dewgong is weak to Grass type moves, but also Dewgong is going to outspeed us. Dewgong is going to do more damage with its fast move, and it is just not really a great matchup. And even if I would shield this move up, the opponent still would be able to still go for a charge move with a Gligar against me and just farm me down there. So I'm forced to use a shield here against the Icy Wind, and I'm forced to overfarm by a little bit just so I can maybe outspeed the opponent's Gligar. I went 3 over basically, so like I need 2 more fast moves to get to the Psycho Boost. Can I get there? No, I cannot. And sadly, the opponent going to be able to knock me out here. Still fairly close though, and I would say that this was definitely closer than it should have been for me, because like yeah, I kind of got hard-walled. Speaking of hard-walling, let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to see a Sableye in the lead, which is really bad for me, but the opponent decides to stay in here just to get some damage onto me, which is fine for me because they actually have a hard wall in the back anyway with Registeel, so I just decided to go for 2 Body Slams here, which hopefully is going to be fine. And honestly, wait for the final game, by the way. The final game was my favorite game of them all, which I can now say that this is going to be not this game here, but you're going to be able to just go ahead and let this next move go through. It's going to be the Focus Blast. They're going to knock me out, and I'm just going to go for the full farm down here with the Deoxys, as Deoxys is going to be able to just go for yeah, before farm down. I'm just counting the moves here, and I know that I can fully farm them down without throwing anything, which is really important, but sadly they're going to have a Galarian Stunfisk in the back. And here I make a mistake. I was basically banking on them not knowing my moveset, and them basically trying to shield, not no-shield the first one here, thinking that this was just a cheap move. So I decide to go straight for the Earth Power, not gonna go for the bait, and it does not work out at all. The opponent decides to use a shield. And I was just hoping that they went just for the Sableye at the end of the day, but they didn't. And like this, I'm going to use my shields against the Rock Slides. But yeah, I won't be able to still get to another move here, really. I'm going to go down to another Rock Slide afterwards. And I might have been able to outspeed the opponent if I didn't, but I think I actually still would have not been able to get to another Seed Bump here in time, so that's kind of it. We're going to be able to now go for 2 Thunderbolts against the Sableye, which is going to be enough to knock them out, which is really nice for me. But I decided to go for an extra fast move to hope that I would speed the opponent's Galarian Stunfisk. I don't know who wins CMP here, but sadly I'm going to lose by like 1 fast move there. Maybe if I didn't go for the extra fast move against the Sableye, I still had a chance, but I'm not sure about it. But this was my favorite game of them all, so definitely check that one out. It was also the final game that I played with this team, by the way, so like it is actually in order kind of here. We're going to be able to still go for Psycho Boost against the Gligar. The opponent's Gligar gonna go for a Dig, and they decide to swap out into a Sand Slash. So what I gonna do here is, because I know that I am fairly weak against Gligar with this team, especially with my Arboliva in the back, I kind of want to keep around the energy onto my Lickitung. So I have to go for 1 Body Slam just to tick down the clock there. As you can see on the right side, my switch clock is coming up very soon. So I decided to use a shield here just to try to store all the energy, and I got like so much energy there. It was absolutely wild. I'm at like 90 energy or something with my Lickitung. So I'm still going to be able to farm them down with my Deoxys. They're going to go back into the Gligar, which is fine for me. I can still go for a Psycho Boost. But if they're going to have something like a Medicham in the back, of course, I'm going to be in a very bad spot. Because my best answer to Medicham is my Deoxys. And I don't really have the best answers in general. And they have a Medicham. So what do I do now? I have a Gligar against me, which already has an Aerial Ace stored. I have my Arboliva and my Lickitung, which are both weak to Medicham. I decided to go into my Arboliva. Because I'm a believer, I'm going to be able to just go ahead and use a shield against the opponent, and I'm not giving up yet. I have so much energy on my Lickitung, but of course the opponent's Gligar still has a charge move stored. So here we are fairly low with our Lickitung. I can still go for the Body Slam. This is going to not get the knockout, but the second one, thankfully, thanks to the Magical Leaf, will do this. And now I expect my opponent to try to farm me down. And this works out so well, because I already went for 2 charge moves. I didn't expect me to have any energy. And like this, we will be able to even knock out the Gligar. They are, of course, misplayed by the opponent. If they went for the Aerial Ace, I would have won this game. But still, this is going to be it for today's video. Of course, there's going to be another one later on for the Ultra League, most likely, with Arboliva. So check that one out as well. Check out the videos on the screen, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.